bit different when you hear somebody else read some of the stuff that happens around you, and the stuff that sometimes that you've done. It's a little bit different to hear it from somebody else. And as Patrick was saying that stuff, I just kind of reflecting on it and thinking to myself, what the heck was I thinking? But in true fashion, as a true veteran, I do it all over again. You know, thank you. Before I get started, I too like to express a few thank yous. Some of them you've already heard. Such an amazing event, such an amazing outpour of patriotism. But if it weren't for Mr. Cisneros and the Weslaco Rotary Club, I don't think this would be possible. Mr. Cisneros reached out to me, and he told me this is my task and purpose, and this is what we're going to put together. And never in my wildest dreams would I thought it would have looked like this. But you know what? Then again, I thought, well, it's the Weslaco Rotary Club putting it on. It's going to be fantastic. So thank you so much to Mr. Cisneros and the Weslaco Rotary Club. I'd also like to thank all the children here today, and all the efforts that they put into the decorations and just the red, white, and blue patriotism, everything that you guys brought today. If it weren't for them, I mean, why else would we not want to do this as veterans? Veterans, am I right? I'd also like to thank fellow veteran Mayor Suarez. Mayor, you and I go back many, many years, and thank you so much for your mentorship over the years, and thank you so much for your being a veteran, sir. Dr. Coronado, thank you so much for letting this happen on your watch. Thank you so much for letting this happen on your footprint. What a wonderful, wonderful display for Weslaco Independent School District. When as I talked to Mr. Cisneros, he asked me, just talk about what it means to be a veteran. Talk about what it means to be reverent of Veterans Day, things of that nature. And I'll tell you, it comes very easy to somebody who comes from a very patriotic family. So rather than read a speech to you, I'm just going to have a conversation with you. See, it's easy to say that when you've had plenty of conversations when you're raised by a command sergeant major. Command sergeant major says, I'm going to talk to you and you're going to listen. We're going to have a conversation. So that command sergeant major was my dad. One of the biggest patriots I know today was made by my dad and my mom, and it transcends our family, because in my family there are many patriots, but I think I'm married to the biggest patriot of all. My wife Patty, where is she? She's 4'11" with heels on, but she carries a big stick, let me tell you what. But in all seriousness, Veterans Day and being a veteran is so very near and dear to my heart for obvious reasons, and so very near and dear to my heart for not so obvious reasons. For the most obvious reasons, if you look around the stadium and all the wonderful veterans that are sitting there and have stood up multiple times, because that's what we do. I gotta stand here, I stand up when they tell me, I sit down when they tell me. Who? But more importantly, I would tell you that every one of these veterans here were a part of 4 tenets of being in the military, whichever branch they joined. It was a duty, it was about honor, it was about selfless service, and it was about devotion to America. You see, you can't always teach duty. You can't always have honor. You don't always have that drive inside of you to commit selfless service. And not everybody has a devotion to America. That is not the American veteran. And that's what I would tell you today, that Veterans Day is about those four tenets, that these veterans, whichever branch they joined, they did it because it was their duty. They did it with honor. It was a selfless service cry, and they were so devoted to America. That's what I would tell you that being a veteran is about. Veterans Day is on everybody else that celebrates the people that did just that. That served with duty, with honor, selfless service, and a devotion to America. Veterans, thank you so very much for upholding those and serving America. I would tell you that these veterans, they made a promise. They took an oath. They stood up in the 1940s. We didn't start the fight, but these guys right here finished it. And ever since then, we've had service members that have stood up. They took an oath, they made a promise, and they said, I will defend America from all of her enemies, foreign or domestic. If anybody has a problem with that, take it up with one of these veterans, and then you'll see what kind of outcome you end up with. You know, it took all types, right? It took white Americans, African Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, all colors. It took all colors, all types of people to do that, all colors, right? But at the very end of the day, the colors that mattered the most were the ones on that flag. And that's why veterans did it. My favorite verse, and my wife will tell you, I have it on my desk, in my office, and I see it every day, and it's a constant reminder of what being a servant is. And it's a Bible verse from Isaiah chapter 6:8, and it goes like this. And I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And then I said, here I am. Send me. So that speaks to the core of all American veterans. Many of them, they didn't ask for this. It was a calling. Something inside their belly said, here I am, send me. At this time, I'd like to ask all the veterans to please stand. To say thank you to each of you would be an understatement. I don't think anything that I could say here today, thank you a million times, is never enough thank you than what the gratitude that we do owe you. But I would challenge everybody else sitting here today, take some time, ask these veterans a little bit about their journey in being in the military, fighting in the wars, and I would tell you, I would bet that they would tell you stories of adventure. They would tell you stories of, how did I live through that? And they would tell you stories about, I did it because of my family. I did it because I love my country. I did it. And every one of them, I would venture to say, I'd do it all over again. Thank you, veterans, so very much. Please be seated. Now I'd like to ask the families of these veterans to please stand. You know, families of veterans are the epitome of patriots. When veterans answered the call, in whatever service they were in, they answered the call, they went forward, they deployed all over the world, they took a post somewhere, and they said, I'm not gonna let anyone harm our liberties and our freedoms. Well, let me tell you, while they're off doing that, these families are at home, taking care of business back home, which in most cases was a lot more. And I tell you, America owes a debt of gratitude to the families of veterans, because that is the epitome of serving America. Thank you so very much, families. Lastly, I'd like to close with, again, I'm so very thankful I'm very humbled to be here before all of you today. This is actually very overwhelming to see so much and to see so much red, white, and blue. You know, every country has challenges. Every country goes through, its ups and downs. But at the very end, we all come together. And this is a perfect example of this right here. I'm so very proud. I'm so very humbled to be here. I'm very thankful to each and every one of you for showing your support to these veterans. Thank you to you gentlemen down here. I know that if it weren't for what you guys did back in the 1940s, none of us would be here today. Thank you so very much for what you've done, the sacrifices you've made, the sacrifices that you continue to make. I'll pray for you. My family will pray for you. As you can tell, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful to each and every one of you. I'm very grateful to each of the veterans out here. I'm grateful for so much, and I'm thankful to have been a part of this. Thank each and every one of you. And God bless America.